ages, right up to the top of his head, all round his ears.
Flora's worried about Griffin.
I had a terrible feeling last night. I felt he was in desperate trouble.
He meddled in things men should leave alone.
Not the slightest clue.
That's where the clues are. He wasn't leaving anything to chance.
There must be a way back. God knows there's a way back. I am going help! If only they'd leave me alone.
It's the stranger with the goggles. He's gone mad.
You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. The mania madness of your peering through the keyholes and gaping through the curtains. And now you'll suffer for it.
But why? Why do it, Griffin? Just a scientific experiment at first. To do something no other men in the world had done. Suddenly I realized the power I held. The power to rule. To make the world grovel at my feet.
You know who the Invisible Man is, Doctor. Where is Dr. Griffin?
What's the good of concealing it?
Oh, come and stay with us. Let's fight this thing out together.
Police, quickly. The Invisible Man is in my house. He's mad. He's killed a man tonight. Believe me, as surely as the moon will set and the sun will rise, I shall kill you tomorrow night. The secret of invisibility lies there in my books. Don't you see what it means? Power. Power to walk into the gold vaults of the nations, into the secrets of kings, into the Holy of Holies. Power to make multitudes run squealing in terror at the touch of my little invisible finger. Even the moon's frightened of me. The whole world's frightened to death.
I'll lay traps that even an invisible man can't pass. Radio stations now. Watch the wall. Help! Help! He's here! He's here!
Here we go, gathering nuts and may on a cold and frosty morning. Whoops!
What is up, everybody, and hello. This is a warning. Yes, a warning. The following program you're about to watch, if you're watching this on YouTube, it may be blocked because I tend to play clips, trailers, for examples. For any reviews, I tend to use clips sort of as a visual aid in my reviews, my topics of anything I talk about. So that's why I stream over on Twitch. So it's Twitch TV/ZombieCT. You can see this same thing over there, pretty much not banned. So typically what happens when I play a clip on the YouTube side of things, generally it gets flagged pretty quickly and will be blocked. The screen will be blocked. At least the screen will be black. You might still hear me, but it'll be black. So just as a caution of a warning, that's why you can watch this over on Twitch. Pretty much 95% chance guaranteed that it won't be a blocked stream over there for you. So this is a warning ahead of time. Head over to twitch.tv/ZombieCT to watch this stream uncensored. Although, I mean, you can watch it on YouTube. I guess it wouldn't be censored. Just the screen would be censored. I don't know if that made any sense. But let's start with the show. And there we go. Hello, 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 everyone out there. Thank you for tuning in for this kind of brief, quickly stream of The Invisible Man. Yes, the much talked about, much hyped movie that is out right now. We're going to do a review on it. And if you are a fan of the podcast that I do with Connor, the Connor and Chris podcast, I love that name. We are going to talk more about it in depth, that is on Friday. We record on Friday. We'll be doing a live stream of that, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, we're going to talk all about it because Connor is more, he's a fan of the original. I've never seen the original, so I have no take on it versus what this new one is. That's more Connor's kind of aspect of it, and we're going to talk all about, the hypeness of it and what he might have thought of it and some general other stuff that's, talked about for this movie.
Even in death, Adrian's true genius was how he got in people's heads.
Don't come any closer. Hey!
I'm not crazy.
Please listen to me.
You're saying the person trying to kill you is in the room right now, but we can't see him?
Is he listening?
Where are you? Where are you? Show yourself! Come on! Do it! There you are.
So that was a look at the Invisible Man trailer. Wow. What can I say about it? We'll start with what is good about the Invisible Man trailer. When the movie starts off, is this movie rated R? I believe so, because it is violent. It is pretty dang violent. What they do in this movie, when they start off, it is pretty crazy where it goes. I've never seen a horror movie do this where the first opening couple minutes, there's literally no words. It's all done by the visual aspect to tell this story of Elizabeth Moss's character wanting to leave, or at least trying to leave in the middle of the night. They don't preference anything. You're just kind of left up to try to figure this out, and it really does a great job of setting up sort of the tension, the terror, the suspense of what is she doing, okay, what's going on, and then her trying to sort of escape. I love this opening of this movie. It was so dang good. I think the first like 40 minutes of this movie really fantastic. I was on the edge of my seat. I was pulled into the paranoia, what's going on in this world, Elizabeth Moss character, her acting, and the trailer is so misleading. The trailer makes it seem like it's going to be a typical Blumhouse, very flash cuts, very amped up scares and scenes, and it's not quite like that until maybe about past the 50-minute mark is when it sort of gets to that point where things kind of escalate. And I really enjoyed that aspect. The first 40 minutes was fantastic, I think. In my opinion, that is where the movie kind of takes the turn for me. When they start introducing the boyfriend character, or the ex-boyfriend, or the Invisible Man, when they introduce him sort of stepping things up to a new level, I thought it was a little cartoonish in the way, because when you looked at the first 40 minutes, it was very subtle. It was very creepy. It was very almost like a different kind of movie. When they added on the craziness that comes a little later, it just kind of flipped the movie to a different aspect for me. Not that it was bad, because I think this is probably the best horror movie we've gotten this year. And obviously that's very, very, very early. We still have more movies to come this year. It's the best horror movie we've gotten so far, but it's not quite as good as I think as everybody has overhyped it. I think because two central factors there. And one being that it is the Invisible Man, and people probably not expected too much from this property. And the fact that it's a really decent, good horror movie makes it almost seem like it's a really, really great horror movie, if that makes any sense. It's almost like if you didn't eat all day and then you had a decent burger, that burger's going to feel like it's probably the best burger you ever had. But in reality, if you probably have, had a few meals in between that burger, you would say like, burger's okay. It's a decent burger. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's a little bit above, the middle ground. And that's kind of where this movie entitles, at least for me, as far as the aspect of the movie. It's not bad in the slightest. It does have a few weird characteristics and problems a little later on in the movie, which I didn't even think about this until before I sat down to do the review. The movie is called The Invisible Man. Yet we spend no time throughout this whole movie to get acquainted with the Invisible Man. You don't even spend any kind of time with him except a little later on in the movie, which I'm not going to spoil any aspect of the movie. You don't even spend any time with that character, unlike, I guess, the original where it's all about the Invisible Man. Really, you spend most of your time with Elizabeth Moss' character. Sort of how she is going through this and the terror and her acting and in the movie for me. And I'll skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so you do see the boyfriend at the start. You see that he has some rage, obviously, but they don't make a note that this guy is some super soldier, that really, you have no information on him to know that he's some sort of trained killer or something. But apparently this thing that he has that makes him invisible gives him apparently like Marvel-like superpowers, which is something that just, I guess it makes for a great telling of it making visual in craziness. But you can see in this scene how he is like literally manhandling this character. Look at that. Like, how does a human toss someone like that, who, if you're not like built like the Hulk or something? It makes kind of no sense when you sit back and think about it. The guy is just a skinny, regular built guy, yet he can toss her like a piece of paperweight. Unless they explained it in the movie itself about that the suit gave him powers, and I missed that aspect. It's kind of silly, and it just kind of takes you out of the movie. Although it makes it very thrilling when you're watching it. It's just one of those things where you stop and you go like, how is he this strong and this fast, and doesn't make very much sense. This scene right here is very, very funny. It's not funny in the context of the movie, but it's funny what happens. Child that was he had enough of her at that point. That is enough. That is, let me see who the character is. That is, I want to say his name, Aldous Hodge, who is from the TV show Leverage. Him and his daughter in this movie. I think I missed that aspect as well. I don't think they explain who they were. I guess they were just friends of her or friends of the sister. I don't know. She stayed with them. It's almost like her new family, and that was kind of an interesting aspect, I think. But this scene just didn't make too much sense. Like, she wasn't even near her, but and then the creepiness of the aspect of this person that you can't see is there. It's haunted. It's, it's watching you. This is all part of what makes this movie excellent. Like I said, this stuff is the great build-up, and where it got a little later on. And right here, pause at a funny point. Like, the Invisible Man just takes out like a whole set of like army guards. I know they can't see him, so I understand that aspect of it, but it's very, very hilariously, almost just ridiculousness how he handles every single agent. Like, he just handles them like they're nothing. Like, he has some kind of CIA background, martial arts training, like a John Wick, like an invisible John Wick throughout that whole scene that's going on. it just doesn't. It just kind of takes you out of what was there the first 40 minutes. But that doesn't mean that the movie is bad in any regard. The movie itself, yeah, as you can see right there, it's just it's funniness that he can just take somebody and do like this weird John Wick robotic style shooting and stuff right here, like doo, doo. And that whole scene goes on, like he just pretty much demolishes everybody. um it does have some points where they are trying to set up. If you did not know already, I believe her name is Elizabeth Banks. She did the Charlie's Angels that pretty much bombed. She's behind that. She is signed on to do The Invisible Woman, which I'm assuming is a sequel to this in some sort. I don't know if it's going to follow her character, because there's some stuff later on I don't want to spoil that comes in the last act that might explain for a sequel or down the line. I don't know how I feel about that. But like I said, Elizabeth Moss does a good movie. I mean, she did good in the movie because the movie pretty much leans on her the entirety of the film. It's all on her performance. It's all on her acting. The Invisible Man himself is rarely ever seen, and I don't mean that as a pun, but he literally is rarely ever seen. I'm glad that the trailer itself was very misleading. It made it seem like it was a typical Blumhouse movie, like a Truth or Dare, jump cuts and stuff. And it just wasn't that. At least for the first 40, 50 minutes, it wasn't that. A little later on, it gets silly, stuff happens, and it's pretty goofy what happens a little later on. There's some kills, there's some violence in there. Elizabeth Moss she kind of is dumb a little bit a little later on. Once she kind of figures things out, she's still kind of being kind of dumb most of the movie, until a little bit later on towards the end. Yeah, solid movie. If you did not know, that is the director who is one of the main guys locked up in the bathroom in the very first Saw movie. It's stated that he is now going to be directing multiple movies in this universe, or at least these kind of films. They're stating that maybe he might be doing other movies. I don't know how I feel about that. I would like for other directors to kind of have the shot or the chance to do other properties. I don't know if I want him to do all of these. Not that The Invisible Man was bad in the slightest. If I had to give it a score out of a 10, I'm going to probably give The Invisible, at least for me. I'm interested to see what Connor's going to say, because he really did not like the premise of this movie beforehand with the trailer. So it's going to be interesting to see how his take is on that. Stay tuned for that on the Connor and Chris podcast. That's going to be on Friday. That is my review for The Invisible Man. You don't quite see him very much in the movie. Some stuff is kind of overlooked and not really explained. The ending is wrapped up okay. Elizabeth Moss does something, and I'm not going to spoil what happens with her character. It depends on how you feel about that in the end. Is she justified? Or is she not? I'd be interested to see what most folks would say about that. Is she justified in her actions, or is she not? But that is my review on The Invisible Man. Enjoyed the first 40 minutes. After that, it gets a little silly, but it's still okay. It's still the best horror movie of 2020. If you want to know what the worst horror movie of 2020 so far, you're going to have to stay tuned for that on another live stream next Saturday. We'll talk about one of the worst movies I have seen
thus this year. Stay tuned for that. On next Saturday, we'll be talking about that, as well as we'll be doing sort of a roundup review of a bunch of the horror movies I've been watching. I've been watching the Amazon Prime, The Hunters. If you want to know my thoughts on that, let me know as well. Although it's not really a horror series, but it is backed by Jordan Peele. Yeah, that is it. That's my review on The Invisible Man.